Hello, everyone, and welcome to another NintendoFuse Game Chat. Today, we're talking all about Guns of Fury for the Nintendo Switch. Now, Guns of Fury is a retro-inspired action platformer that pretty much think Metal Slug, but it's a Metroidvania. It is incredibly unique experience of combining these two genres. The story is a scientist, Dr. Klaus, gets stolen, he gets taken away, and you, as the commando, you are Vincent Fury. You're a special operative. You're going in there, guns blazing, to explore this huge world. It's all interconnected like a Metroidvania. It's got 10 plus bosses, and the bosses are challenging. They definitely require some pattern recognition. It's a 16-bit pixel art, and this game did come out on February 13th, 2025, and it was from Gelato Games. And fair disclosure, Gelato Games did provide us review codes, so thank you very much. So let's go to you first, Steve, for this one. What's your experiences with Guns of Fury?
Yeah. I think the art style is fantastic. I think it's a really fun look. It's like similar, like you said, to Metal Slug and games like that. I think are fun. I think I did not realize going into it two things. I didn't realize that there was going to be as much platforming in it, and that was a pleasant surprise. I was like, that's really fun. Um, I didn't realize that the world would be so huge, because I think, Metal Slug, I think Contra, I think those kind of games, and no, this is a huge world, to experience, and so that was also a pleasant surprise. Plays into the whole Metroidvania and all that sort of thing. And another thing that I didn't expect that was it depends on how you look at it, was the difficulty. Oh my gosh, this game is sometimes incredibly difficult and incredibly punishing, and I was not expecting that. I was thinking this is going to be a breeze. I'm just going to be firing everywhere and go. And no, there enemies are attacking from high and low and sometimes off screen, and sometimes I felt like a little too punishing. But yeah, I was not expecting that when I went into this game at all. But overall, I've had a really fun time with it. I have experienced some frustration with it, not necessarily because of the game itself, because I think it's the mechanics and everything. It seems to be pretty solid. It's just more that it's more difficult than I I thought it would be, for bosses, or sometimes just random enemies that are like hitting me from ahead, from overhead. I'm like, stop shooting at me! I'm trying to make it through. This is annoying. So sometimes you have a lot coming at you at the same time, and so that's really the biggest negative I could say is like I maybe like can you back it off to an easier mode for those of us that are wusses? I don't know. But yeah, I've had some fun with this game.
And what about you, Greg?
I do have to pretty much agree with a lot of what Steve had said. Like the graphics are absolutely gorgeous, and the platforming and like that kind of stuff was kind of unexpected. Another thing that found was unexpected. You actually kind of destroy some of the environments. You can even use that to your advantage. You could shoot like barrels, and they will like shoot off like little rockets, and then like collide with enemies. Like they were like designed in such a way where they actually like hit the enemy like in its normal path, which is appreciative because sometimes when those elements are there, they just like, why is this even there to begin with? Because it totally misses, it doesn't hit anything. But like pretty much everything that you shoot like can be like dropped down onto enemies, and that's like great way to help take out some of the enemies across the room. And I like that kind of flexibility. Though one thing that was kind of like a smaller like I guess a smaller takeaway that wouldn't be appreciated if you actually had the full eight um way to shoot, because it felt like it was very four
Mm,
directional. It
yes.
had to be straight or directly up, or like obviously behind you, or like directly down. There was like no diagonals, like no way to kind of like try to hit some of the enemies, and that made shooting some of the ones that were like above you a little bit trickier because you had to be like directly underneath them, and then it felt like they were able to kind of shoot like angular towards
Mhm.
you, so then it kind of made like a platforming challenge to like dodge the bullets and not take the extra unneeded damage. But
Yeah.
um outside of that, and also with like the kind of difficulty spike that I was not quite expecting either, but those were the main two things that were kind of like not really as appreciative or like kind of and also unexpected, but like I was able to kind of power through. I defeated several of the bosses, like I unlocked like the third or fourth area in the map, and then it's also great that they do have like little fast travel locations to access the other parts of the map quicker. And then like I do like it's still kind of like the traditional Metroidvania. You can still get like little map stations and unlocks like a map of the area, but then it doesn't also show every single secret. Like there's still like a few spots we can further explore. So like a really great way they implemented like the map system and being able to like travel to other parts of like the map. But like yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun like playing through this game and hoping it can be on something I could hope to finish in the future.
Yeah, I echo a lot of that. I had a lot of fun with this game. I thought the graphics were great. I thought the story was interesting. I thought the combat, like even the shooting, like it became a puzzle. I love that you have two weapons. You have your pistol, and then you've got the special weapon that has limited ammo. You also have the grenades or whatever your throwing is. It could be the ninja stars or whatever. I thought that was cool. I thought it was, it changed up combat a bit. Usually I'm one to stick to the pistol, but I'm going certain areas where I'm just getting bombarded. I'm like, oh no, pulling out the big guns. Bosses were the biggest shakeup for me because of the difficulty spike on the boss. Like the first boss, I'm like, I'm just gonna destroy this thing, and it wiped the floor with me. I was like, oh, I can't just push a button and win. So bosses are very much learn the pattern. Bosses will follow a script. So sometimes I hate that, but sometimes I really like it because you get to used to it. And a lot of it's just powering through. And there were some bosses that just kept kicking my butt. And like by the sixth, seventh, eighth time, I did a perfect run. And it was just like I learned it. I knew what to do. I knew what to expect. I knew where to move. And it made me feel really good when I beat them. I was like, oh, like I accomplished that. That wasn't just push button to win. Like that was a hurdle that I beat. And I felt like the bosses were almost like stopgaps. Like in between, I didn't have many issues. I died here or there, sure, but I was able to get through. Bosses were here's the wall. Now you're going to keep throwing yourself against the wall as you learn this pattern until you eventually beat it. And that became the nature of the game. It became it, going from wall to wall and having fun in between and then figuring out the pattern. And sometimes the save points were right. Oh, there was always a save point before the boss. But most of the times it was nice. It was a save point. You could walk right into the boss's room. It was one time where it was like over a pit and you had to like jump on these moving platforms every time. And that was a little annoying because I was like, oh, I got to do this platforming section before I even get to the boss every time. I thought the card mechanic was cool, where usually games will have like a card for the door, but here it's a card to summon a giant robot that you could ride in, like mech armor. That was unexpected and neat. The fast travel was nice, but I'm also spoiled by other games where you could just fast travel to any save station as opposed to finding the train or the truck, getting in the truck and going to the next section and picking whatever section you want, and having select travel points. I understand they don't want to break the game, and it's done that way, but it works. It's just not my favorite type of teleport system in a Metroidvania. I thought that some of the areas were really well designed. Like there's one area where you go out and it's almost like a city, and you have like rooms you can go into, and you can break the walls, and you can go high, you can go low. Like it changed the way you went.
Mhm.
And the power ups were great. I thought it was really cool, like getting the different power ups. It just scratched a lot of those itches, and I think if there was a setting to tone down the difficulty. I wouldn't want a patch that lowered the difficulty for everybody. Not at all. No. I would like a patch that gave you an easier option that I can continue my save under an easier option. Because I think I'm probably on the eighth boss or something like that. Like I'm really close to the end of the game, and that was the last boss that just kept kicking my butt, and I was like, all right, I need a break, and I haven't gone back to try and fight that yet. So if I could tone down the difficulty, I think that would be appreciative and 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 that would be great. But I wouldn't want it toned down for everybody because
Right.
there are people that love the challenge, and I don't think even the boss that I'm on right now is undefeatable. I think every boss is completely defeatable with whatever tools you have available. Even the weakest stuff, it's because it's a pattern. You know the pattern, you know what to dodge, and you can win. It's just, war of attrition at that point. So I like that there's an upgrade system too. There's shops. There's find the hidden shops. You get money. You can use the money to buy different weapons and there's different accessories. You could have different accessories on it each time. It's like only one accessory, and that changes the game a bit too, depending on what your plan of attack is. And I like how a lot of the bosses will spawn little enemies that you can kill to replenish your secondary ammo.
Mm.
That is very much appreciative because you blow through it right in the beginning and now you're just pistol the whole time. So, Steve, any final thoughts from your experience?
Yeah, I think Greg hit on this as well. I do wish when you mentioned it, all of a sudden, yeah, thoughts came flooding in my head of the shooting. I wish there was a way to like angle your shooting better. I kept thinking, oh, I'm gonna push this button and it'll pause me, similar to like a Metroid game or something like that, and I can angle anywhere I want to. That would have been nice. And while sometimes save points before bosses are nice, I wish there was more save points or easier to get to in general of the game, because there's some places where I'm like that I just kept dying on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go back through this whole thing again. This whole like, I wish there were a little more frequent save points that would have made it just a tad bit a better experience. I get it. If they're trying to make it a difficult game, then fantastic. But it would have been, like you said, nice to have maybe an easier setting for those of us that don't want that level of difficulty in the game, but still want to experience it. But yeah, I think overall, I still enjoyed it. But those kind of changes would make it a better experience for me.
Yeah, and to kind of expand on that a little bit, there's a number of times where it felt like you were going right towards a dead end, and then like you destroyed like a huge screen full of enemies. And it was like, here, now backtrack through all of it. All the enemies are now back again, and then you might not have had like enough health to like make it back to the save station. And like I understand like they do have like the link method of healing where like, oh, I can just eat all this food, blah blah blah, and like you immediately be at full health instantaneously. But I mean, I really try not to do that because I feel like that kind of
Mhm.
wrecks like the experience, and like it almost
If
seems
you
like you
have
should
enough
be able
food.
to.
Yeah,
Well,
save food for the
I'm not.
bosses.
Yeah, I usually didn't even really even use a lot of the food items or even like the ammo items just because I usually got hoarder. Like, hey, if I use this limited time item, am I gonna need it for even harder boss? Like, I usually try
Yep.
to power through it, and like a lot of the bosses, like as we said, can be you're just learning the patterns. But then there's a few that didn't feel like they didn't quite some of the stuff didn't follow the pattern. So like there was like a few like shots where they would like pretty much hit the entire screen and you had to like stand in like one exact location and then that change might change. But I did feel like back up to the previous point, a lot of the seemed like there was a number of dead ends that you kind of like went towards to get like a smaller upgrade and then like you had to backtrack all the way through like this heavy sequenced area and fight basically everything again. It wasn't like an easy way around that. You couldn't like fast travel back to like the save station and be like, hey, I got this item and now let's go back this other direction now that I have this upgrade. So I think like small things like that would be a little bit easier, or maybe not even having like the enemies fully like respawn like instantaneously, just leaving the screen. Maybe I don't know, but um, as you guys said, like sometimes the difficulty is usually better for those that like to have that kind of challenge, but then you also need some accessibility options for people that might not want like the excessive like challenge like tied to it that's just involved around platforming and dodging when there could be other ways to go about it. But um, yeah, overall, it was definitely a great game, though.
All right. Well, with that said, this game is $14.99. As of right now, as of recording, it's $11.99. It's 20% off. Steve, is this worth $14.99? Is this worth $11.99? Is this worth wait, for even a cheaper price or pass entirely? What do you think?
Yeah, this is totally worth the full price. I see no reason why not to recommend this. I think on I checked at the lowest, fastest most people are completing it is 9 hours, but you could spend more time in the game if you wanted to kind of completionist. And so there's plenty of game there for what you're getting. It's a fun game. It's going to challenge you. There could be maybe some updates that they may release that give a little better quality of life improvements. But overall, it's there's a lot of content there. I think it's a lot of fun if you enjoy this type of a game. And yeah, I've paid more money for less of other games, for sure in the same genre. So 100%. recommend Guns of Fury.
I fully echo that. I would definitely say at full price, you're getting a lot of game, you're getting a lot of challenging aspects to go through, and I don't think it's nothing worth you can't push through at all. And obviously, as Steve said, a few updates could make a few small improvements and make things a bit better. Maybe even add in like the multi-directional aiming that I referenced, or even just a few other kind of tweaks they could do with like difficulty options. But I think even at its current state, it's still very enjoyable game. Like, and everything there is definitely deserving of the full asking price, and anything less than is an absolute steal.
I'm gonna echo that. I think it's definitely worth $15. There's just a lot of game there. I have had a blast with it thus far, and like I said, I'm really close to the end. And even when I've hit that wall, like I learned and I felt such a level of accomplishment from beating the bosses. And the progression has been really good. There are little things that, like I said, if there was a lower difficulty, that added more saves, stations, as well as lowering the difficulty of the bosses, and maybe less enemies, or at least let them hit you for less damage or something like that. Um, I'd be fine with that. It'd be a nice bonus, quality of life. But as it stands, the game is absolutely a blast. It's a lot of fun, and we're very thankful to get the opportunity to play it. So again, Guns of Fury is available right now on the eShop. It did come out February 13th from Gelato Games. It is $14.99 normally, on sale right now for 20% off. And again, thank you to Gelato Games for providing us review codes. So if you enjoy reviews like this, then check out NintendoFuse.com and subscribe right here on YouTube. We've got a bunch of game chat reviews and solo reviews, as well as our bi-weekly podcast. We got industry talk, interviews, and gameplay videos, and so much more. So hopefully you like what you see. Steve and Greg, thank you so much for joining me today. And for everyone out there, have a great day.